What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Dancer in the Dark, movie that came out. When did this come out? In 2000. I was at this time. Let me take you back in time. I was working two jobs, working at a movie theater, and then my second job was at a Blockbuster. For those that don't know what a Blockbuster was, it's a place you'd go to rent movies and video games in disc or just big giant VHS formats, and then you'd go home and you'd have to with the cassette ones. If you didn't rewind the tape, they would charge you extra. If you didn't return the movie on time, they would charge you extra. Um, and this was a movie that my supervisor, it was on kind of the staff picks wall or whatever, and he's like, "You need to check this movie out. Crazy movie, independent movie. Lars von Trier, who is very, very. He has a very specific kind of minimalist style. He's part of the Dogma '95 movement in film, where he wanted to do. He made all these rules to kind of limit a director's tools, and getting rid of special effects. Everything has to be on film, everything or on like cassette or something. I forget what all the rules were. And there was a few movies that came out that were like Dogma '95 certified, where they followed all these rules, and it was very much a challenge to stripping away all of the distractions and focusing on just telling an interesting story without all of the glitz and glamour of something like what Michael Bay would use or any big Hollywood superhero production. So I don't know if this movie specifically is Dogma '95 certified, but it definitely has that handheld, very raw, very simple feel. Stars, of course, Bjork. I don't know if she's been in anything else, but she's perfect for this role. She plays a mom, an immigrant who came to the U.S., who loves, musicals and loves film and wants to live the American dream. Her son, just like her, has a degenerative eye disease where over time they will lose their vision. So she came here to get a surgery so her son will not lose his vision as he gets older, which she is starting to become blind as she's working in a factory and doing separate jobs to try and make money. And she lives in a trailer in the backyard of a police officer who's married, and it's her. Super simple movie. Everything's like handheld, shaky cam, kind of doc style, and not like doc style like it's processed to look like it. It's just like probably Lars von Trier had the camera guy just holding a camcorder to film a lot of this, and then some of the scenes are like security footage, and not almost as if they literally used, which they may have, I think, security cameras to film. Because there's moments while she's working in the factory where she just starts to daydream Bjork's character, because she has limited sight, so she can't see as much, so she gets lost in the things that she hears. But then also it's Bjork, so they have to like make Bjork sing, because it is like her singing style is very unique, and just like it definitely adds a very unique texture to this film that's very grainy and very rough. And then having her like Bjork-esque singing style just kind of helps round it out enough, because she's not as polished. She doesn't sing like your top 40 pop star singing. She's not like Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears, where there's she has a very unique style of singing. Like somebody could do an impression of Bjork singing and you would know that that's Bjork, versus a lot of other musicians. It would be almost, you could sing like them, but they don't have like a very unique style. So her style, I think, lends itself a lot to this movie. But she gets lost in these moments where she's in the factory and the machines are all making these repetitive industrial sounds, and she starts imagining that she's in a musical, and the people around her start dancing and singing, and the machines kind of form this, and the music itself is reminiscent of Bjork's music, very industrial kind of electronic music of the 90s kind of style. um so it's beautiful. Beautiful. So you get lost in these beautiful, like, musical moments, and then you're plugged back into reality where she's like scrimping and saving, working this factory job um, to try and save money. She does these extra jobs like putting pins in little packaging like sewing pins or whatever. I don't know. She's doing these things. And the people that the cop and the lady that she sleeps in their trailer or whatever, they supposedly have come into money from an inheritance, but you come to find out that the police officer uh actually spent all the money, and he's in destitute, and he actually tries to steal Bjork's money that she's putting away to uh get her son the surgery, right? And it's like, I mean, it's just like you go from these beautiful musical moments to like just sad, depressing reality of like people, you know, trying to cover their tracks of just destroying their own life by fucking being a parasite of like somebody that's it, it's just so disgusting when you see somebody who's had like privilege kind of being a parasite to the people that are just trying to dig themselves out of the worst kind of gutter, like it's like Trump taking advantage of small businesses throughout his entire life. Like it's just one of the most disgusting things for like these big behemoths to like be the parasite to the little people just trying to survive and kind of do the smallest thing to improve their life. Uh, so it gets you on that level, which is just like, oh, it's just so horrible. And you see the scene where he's like, because she's basically blind, and you see him, seeing where she stashes her money, and then later he steals it. Um, and then it gets to a point where she's like trying to go get the money back, and her just pleading with him to get, because the money's for her son, and just her pleading with him to like give the money back. And then it gets to a point where he's like depressed in this moment, and he brings out his gun, and there's an argument, and he's like telling her to kill him because he's depressed. He knows what he did. He knows he's a piece of shit, and he wants to take the easiest way out so he doesn't have to deal with it anymore. And eventually the gun goes off. She ends up, I think, probably shooting him a few more times, just because it's just like it's such an intense moment, right? In a very underproduced film. Like you're getting some of the highest quality dramatic moments in like some of the rawest, like just the shittiest Android phone would take better video than what this movie is filmed on. And then she goes, and of course, because she killed the cop and she's in the US, and she's she's a immigrant, she ends up getting convicted, and the movie ends in a very depressing way. It's a very This is not a everything turns out okay movie. There is no point of this movie where it's like, oh, well, at least that thing happened. It is just depressing, but it's life. It's life, and and a lot of this kind of part of Lars von Trier's series. He's done a bunch of movies where he's never been to the U.S., but this is his take on American culture from his perspective, living in like Poland or wherever he lives. So and it's true. Living in the U.S. for a lot of people is this life where you struggle and you work, and somebody else, it gets taken away from you, and you have nothing, and then you end up, you know life's a bitch, and then you die, basically, in the worst kind of way. But yeah, Dancer in the Dark, everybody should go see it. I mean, you should watch it however I don't even know how I watched it. It was on some streaming platform because I just watched it recently. I think it may have been on like Crackle or something like that. But yeah, it's for Lars von Trier. I mean, I like a lot of his movies. He does deal with like torture porn, emotional torture kind of porn. He wants the emotion he evokes, it seems, is just despair and depression in anybody that goes to watch his movies. And this one is one of the best that he's ever done. Dancer in the Dark, check it out. It's one of my favorite musicals, if not my favorite musical. But that's it for this episode. New episodes come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork over at inspireddisorder.com and save 25% when you use coupon code RTS. Follow me on social media at Ray Taylor. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out.